I wanted to talk tonight about the title of this evening, which is "What is the Jewish Communities Towards Children with Special Needs?" and to frame that from a Jewish perspective and from a Torah perspective. We have a lot of obligations as Jews. We have obligations to teach our children Torah, to teach our children how to pray, to teach our children how to know how to live a life of Torah and mitzvot, how to be fluent in Jewish texts and in Jewish life, how to be empowered Jews. These obligations are no different for any parent or for any child. And while these obligations might originally, halachically, have focused on the parents, certainly very early already in Talmudic times, it was understood that these could best be accomplished through the community working together and through the creation of schools, and has been always taken on as a communal obligation.
I think part of the problem, I think the problem stems from a number of places, but I think I want to focus a little bit on result. I want to talk a little bit about what it feels like to feel that your children are excluded, even if they're not explicitly excluded, but you don't quite feel comfortable. You don't quite feel comfortable taking your kid out in public in case the kid has an outburst, and since he's 10, it will look a little bit bizarre if the child is throwing a tantrum that looks more appropriate for a 3-year-old. And what that looks like if you get shushed in shul because your kid can't really control the volume of his voice sufficiently. Or that your kid doesn't quite fit into playgroups because they go to a different school and they don't know any of the other children and they're not really comfortable. And these things tend to add up. And at a certain point you realize that you're spending Shabbos at home, playing alone with the kids. You're not really going out to shul, you're switching off. One goes to the Ashkama minyan, one goes to the regular minyan, so that you got the kids covered at home, and you're not really outside in the community really at all. And I think for a long time, this actually fell below the radar for us because our kids were being incredibly well taken care of in their school.
This is a very complex topic, a topic that is obviously poignant and meaningful to all of us. But it's a little bit the cup half full or half empty. Our Jewish community has so much more to do to be more inclusive, to be more tolerant, to be more open to all people, children and adults, those with special needs, those with other issues, completely. However, we do, I think, need to keep in mind that 25 years ago, it was totally non-inclusive. I grew up, I did not know anybody with disabilities at all. I wanted to go into Jewish education. I wanted to go into psychology. I thought that the end of the spectrum, I wanted to work with kids on what I thought were both ends of the spectrum. That was kids who had learning disabilities. I didn't know about kids with developmental disabilities. I certainly didn't know about people with physical challenges. You didn't see anybody begging in ShopRite. You didn't see anybody. So the community has come, I think, a long way, even while it has so much further to go. What kind of modern Orthodox community we have and what are the values of that modern Orthodox community is a question that we really do need to grapple with.
I feel very fortunate to be working in this field because I've met the most interesting people in the world. Whether they have Asperger's syndromes or Down syndrome or CP or whatever their struggle is, it's an incredible piece of humanity that struggles every day and does the best they can. This community, that we as a people kind of do the right thing, but I don't know if it's done. I don't know. People aren't. We just had a family gathering of a bunch of parents, and they said, "You've done everything you can in terms of making everybody know about autism and Asperger's syndrome, and it's in the news and stuff. But our kids still aren't getting any play dates. There's still this not spontaneous spark that's happening in the communities that should be. Because I think that there's still this kind of them and us. And we'll do okay for them. We'll write a check for them. I'll send my kid over there and he'll be a shadow. But there's still this sense of them and us. And I feel still in pain about that because, I don't know what to do about it other than to keep on setting a structure, setting a place where people can meet together and to engage. But I think it needs to go beyond the engagement.
I think to sum this entire thing up, when you're excluded from your own community, I can tell you that I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated when we talk about people being excluded from schools. I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. I'm just disappointed. I'm just sad. And I think when you talk to most families who are going through that, they're going to tell you the same exact thing. They're not filled with rage or anger or frustration with the community. They're just disappointed. And they're just sad. Because you just get used to fighting with certain people in order to get things done, like business, like government, like those kind of entities. But when you have to struggle within your own community to just have certain basic needs met, you just feel disenfranchised. And it's just a hurt that I think is something that is very difficult for people to really overcome. I think what it really comes down to is that what I've learned about the community, and I love this community, but this is a community that will do anything and everything possible to follow the rules of the Torah. This is a community that will spare no expense to ensure that everything is kosher. If you're having a wedding or a celebration, if you're running a school, you will spare no expense to make sure that the rules and regulations of kashrut are adhered to and are followed. This is a community that will do anything and everything it can to preserve its tradition, to follow its teachings. And it will make no exception for a violation of kashrut. It will make no exception for a violation of the Shabbos. But when it comes to the most vulnerable people that live among us, we operate under a different standard. And I have to be just clear and candid about it. That hurts. It hurts a lot.